All right, it's starting to look like it's going to be a low water summer here on the Potomac. So, not to despair. While whitewater boaters can get a little bummed out when the river's low, things get bony, currents get slower, waves wash out, all that good stuff. There are new opportunities revealed by low water. And one of them is Horseshoe Wave, which is an amazing rodeo surf wave that's accessible from the Great Falls, Virginia parking lot with no need to set shuttle. So I'll walk you through how to access it. We're starting here at the Climbers Lot in Great Falls, Virginia. After the guardhouse, just go right immediately, kind of button hook down, park there. You can see our walk to the path down to Fisherman's Eddy. Make sure to bring some rope or something to lower your boat down. If you feel comfortable carrying a boat down that super scrapey, steep embankment, then go for it. Personally, I'm not willing to risk my ankles or a bad fall. So I have a little guide sling I made with some tubular webbing and carabiners, and that's what I use to get around because you also are going to climb up some pretty steep rocks on the other side after ferrying across O-Deck. Getting ahead of myself, check this out. This is the way down.
Ugh. Chris.
Okay, so in the first part of this video, once we hit the water, you're going to see us ferry across O-Deck to the Maryland side and access that eddy. Before we climb over to access Horseshoe Wave, we're going to warm up with a little baby surf on one of the smaller waves at O-Deck. Then we're going to step up to a slightly bigger wave in the center of O-Deck, and you can see me get a few surfs, get rolled, all that good stuff. And then we're going to climb over and get to Horseshoe. Okay, unfortunately, as sometimes happens with GoPros, mine was knocked down a little bit when I took a tumble at O-Deck. Unfortunately, that is going to take some of the visual context away from this video. On the other hand, it's going to give you a better angle of the actual surfing on Horseshoe Wave. So I'm sorry about that. I'll pay better attention to it in the future, and I hope it doesn't mitigate your enjoyment of this video too much. I cannot recommend good shoes for scrambling enough. I like the new NRS booties with a more serious sole on them. But just keep in mind for a lot of this climbing that we're doing to get up and over to the Eddy for Horseshoe Wave, this might be like the most dangerous part of the whole trip. A fall here would be pretty nasty. And I've heard of cuts gotten here getting infected, that kind of thing. So just be super careful on the climbs. It's well worth it, but be careful.
Oh, is that the flake?
Yeah.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Practice getting in and out of your boat in weird or precarious scenarios. You never know when you might need that skill. So I just started surfing this playboat, I guess in the middle of May. So this was pretty scary, honestly, to me. It's a pretty big wave. It's really aerated. It's really tall. So getting comfortable ferrying back and forth a few times was a good idea before trying to actually surf it. Keep in mind here, you can kind of see the recovery zone where you have about 50 feet of area to roll. Half of that is pretty aerated water, so you might have a challenge rolling. And so it's imperative that you have a pretty comfortable roll if you come up here, mainly because you don't want to swim O-Deck. There's recovery eddies on either side of the outwash of this wave, but if you come out of your boat, you really would like to make those eddies. The reason is that O-Deck at this level has fast, pushy water, some tighter lines, and a lot of shallow rocks. It was described to me by an experienced boater as class 3 moves and a class 4 swim. So I'll run out of it at the end of this video so you can see, but FYI. All right, you'll see a couple attempts to get on the wave here. For the most part, you want to get your feet just barely in that rooster tail and be ready to fight for your position in that trough with a good right stroke. That's how I was getting on. Better boaters and different boaters certainly have other ways. Lots of people were getting good rides, but that's the way that I found most effective for my size and fairly beginner paddling style. I did get rolled here also, which was pretty interesting. I mean, it was really pretty violent. My PFD got kind of jangled up and down, but I really locked into position 1 and just told myself, all right, wait till you feel that good green water for a roll, and that paid off. It's one of the things that the playboat is teaching me is holding on for the right moment to roll rather than carping and wasting some effort or breath. The feeling of actually getting onto this wave is pretty indescribable. I don't think I'll forget it anytime soon, and I can see how it's addicting. I can't wait to get back out there. Essentially, you're in the midst of this really violent, sort of chaotic maelstrom, and then all of a sudden, if you orient yourself correctly, it all just goes away. There's a moment of this frictionless feeling, and all of a sudden you feel in control of your position in that trough. Really, I recommend learning to surf if you can, because that's not something I've ever experienced before. Another huge part of this experience for me was getting to be so close to the fingers, to Horseshoe, to the spout. We actually paddle over here down the outflow of Horseshoe Wave, and you can see that we paddle over into the Kettle, which is that kind of circular pond below or pool below the spout. So we got to look at the spout, got to look at how all the water in the Kettle is pushing into this wall, which is a good place to practice nasty little pin situations. And then we run O-Deck, which is pretty scary for me. So at O-Deck, make sure to scout it beforehand when you run back down to Fisherman's Eddy. basically we took a line where there was kind of a tight little green tongue between a rock and a hole, and then worked our way right of the rocks, basically exiting right over the wave that we were surfing in the beginning of the video. At lower levels, and potentially at this one, I wish I had the footage, I think there is a lefty sneak line that's more forgiving. You can always also climb back down over the rocks if you just don't feel like dealing with it.
Holy fuck. Okay.
Matt showed me this awesome booth at Portage. Well, awesome for me anyway, as a new boater. Don't miss this one. It's really good. And here we are, the inevitable beatering portion of the video. Feeling all excitable after Horseshoe and kind of feeling good about my paddling after that little booth. I decided to just mosey on up to this big frowny face hole. Frowny face meaning that it's sort of got edges that come around, so it's not easy to swim out of. Just Google it; you'll get a good picture of what frowny face hole is. And just like kind of throw my bow into it carelessly. Not smart. I flipped, and then I could feel myself being tractor beam dragged back into the pour over. And you can kind of see it in the video too. Not having much experience escaping sticky holes and not having an offside roll, I just immediately pulled my skirt out of sheer terror, threw my boat out of the hole, and swam. And it was no problem to actually swim to an eddy, but it was the first time that I felt real resistance swimming to an eddy. That hole was definitely pulling me back. And it's just a reminder to get good at swimming, understand the hydrology of what's around you, and make self-rescue a priority. Because at this point, no one was really expecting a swim. I just did something stupid and pulled my skirt. So, for what it's worth. All right. And rocky waves are just like totally washed out. When you get there, just eddy out river right. You can see a little stream trickling down through the rocks, which indicates the path up that'll take you to kind of another little tow path that ends at the climber's lot where you've parked. That's also kind of a gnarly little climb, so watch for your ankles and consider a guide sling or something to bring your boat. Otherwise, it's a pretty simple, easy little walk out. I probably wouldn't want to do it with a big, heavy boat, but that's just me being lazy. So if you didn't know about this and you're on the Virginia side, you don't feel like braving Chain Bridge or getting over to Maryland, this is a great way to do a park and huck from the Virginia Great Falls lot. Hope you all enjoyed. Recommend getting out here, and as always, send me a message if you want to paddle or if I got something wrong.